Hey everyone, how's it going today, and welcome back to another video. So as most of you guys know is that the stock market lately hasn't been doing too well. The crypto market hasn't been doing too well. The housing market is still relatively expensive. We did talk about that in the last video, which I'll put at the very end screen. But the big idea is that in today's video is I really want to talk specifically about the stock market and about how the fact that even though it's been doing really rough lately, about certain tips and tricks that you might be able to use to maybe still be able to make some money. And when we talk about making money from the stock market during this bear market, we are not talking about necessarily the strategy of trying to buy low and then sell high. There are just a lot of other ways that you can creatively do it. If this sounds relatively confusing, then definitely stay tuned and watch through, because I think today is hopefully going to be insightful. It's going to be insightful for hopefully anyone that happens to be a new investor that's interested in just hearing about a new way to invest. And it's definitely going to be insightful even if you happen to be a more experienced investor, but you're just looking for tips and tricks to maybe try to navigate a much more difficult market to make money, which is the market that we are currently in right now. So as always, we are going to get started, but real fast. As always, before we begin, if you guys enjoy videos like this, maybe remember to smash the like button, because it is always greatly appreciated. Or you can watch to the end and decide, but again, it is always greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, suggestions, room for improvements, or honestly really just anything. It is always really great to hear from you guys. If by any chance you guys are just somehow, new to the stock market, or you're interested in getting into it, the link to sign up for Webull is going to be down below. Essentially is that there's currently doing a program through Webull where if you sign up, you'll be able to get some free stocks. So if you haven't done that, highly recommend. There's going to be links in the bottom. It's basically like getting free money. So definitely recommend checking out. So with that being said, now let's get this video started. So we're pretty much going to just run through several strategies that you can potentially use if you are someone that is relatively bearish right now and believes the stock market is going to go down even further. This does not necessarily mean that the stock market is going to go down further, because obviously none of us knows the future. Even the most professional investors that handle hundreds and millions and maybe even billions of dollars also have been wrong before. But what this video is really dedicated to is just really if you by any particular chance do not have particularly good sentiment and feel that the market is going to go down further, which is definitely what a lot of people feel right now at this time. So again, it's not that it's going to happen, but it's that if you believe it's going to happen, this is the video for it. So the first strategy that we're really going to talk about, and there's going to be timestamps so you can jump around, is going to be considered trying to buy a put. So if you don't know what this is that essentially is that many people are probably familiar with stocks, how you can just buy them low, sell them high, and that is a strategy. But as we just mentioned is that we want to go into even more detailed ways of how you can make money immediately, even if the stock actually goes down while it's going down. And the first strategy is going to be through buying a put. Essentially, if you're not very familiar with what this is that in the world of options, and maybe I'll make a video about, diving into even more detail, feel free to comment if that's of interest. But the big idea is that in the world of options, you can basically buy something called a call contract if you think the stock market's going to go up, and you can also buy something called a put contract. It's just something that you essentially buy within the world of stocks if you believe that the price of the stock is going to go down. And the beautiful thing about this, and common to a very contrary to a very common misconception, is that there's a lot of people that believe that when you buy a put option, you have to be correct about every last thing, which is actually partially true in the sense that you have to be able to time the price and everything like that. What's really nice about a put option is that you're pretty much just trying to, is that it's something that you buy if you believe the stock price is going to go down. But what's really cool about it is that you're actually able to make money the second it goes down. So you don't have to really wait for it to hit a certain price, because as the stock goes down, the price of the put contract actually goes up as well. Now, how much does it go up by? That's another video for another day, but it is just something maybe that if you guys wanted to look up how to buy a put contract or just to research put contracts, that's a really genius way. potentially try to make money. There are certain limitations, pros and cons, but that's probably something that we're going to explore maybe in another future video. Again, feel free to comment if that's of interest. Now, the next thing that the next strategy that we're really going to share in terms of how you can make money if you think the stock market's going to be crashing soon, is really also going to be similarly is to consider trying to sell options. So especially selling a call option. So this goes back to a little bit more advanced, and we're going to talk about some more simplified ways afterwards if all of this sounds confusing. So hopefully one of these strategies will be relatively helpful. But when it comes to the world of contracts, is that the straightforward answer is that you can buy a call if you think the price is going to go up, as just mentioned. You can buy a put option if you think the price is going to go down, as just mentioned. Again, you make money as it's going down. So if it goes down by $1, when the stock goes down by $1, it's possible that your put contract might go down or might go up now by $10. And that's how people can make money, through puts. But there's also something where you can actually sell a contract. So it's basically just the reverse. This is definitely going to be relatively confusing. So definitely it is something that has to have its own video for maybe another video into the future. But if you want guidance about it, just feel free to research how to sell options or how to sell contracts. This is basically a strategy where you can essentially it's almost like trying to short a contract, where you are selling the contract to someone else and getting money from it, and in return is that you're going to have to rebuy the contract with the hope that the contract will go down in value in the future and return it. I know it's going to sound very, very confusing, but it's just definitely something that you're probably going to have to research separately, and maybe I'll make a future video about it, how to sell contracts. But what's really, really genius about this idea is that it's actually a way where you can potentially make money regardless of whether or not the contract, regardless of whether or not the price of the stock goes down. But you can also potentially make money even if the stock moves sideways. That's something more for another day about explaining what it is, but it's just definitely a strategy to work into. Now, the third strategy is going to be a lot more simplified, and this one's going to be a lot easier to now explain, but it's essentially just to try to consider trying to buy an inverse stock or an inverse ETF. So what this is that essentially is that within the world of stocks and ETFs, there are obviously stocks that you buy with the hope that if the company or the companies within the ETF does well, the stock price is going to go up. You can also buy something which is really just called an inverse ETF. One of the most popular examples about it is probably the ETF SARK, or otherwise just simply put SARK. I forgot if it's SARK or SARKK. But it's pretty much just, if you guys know Cathie Wood, she is a famous investor who made a lot of money during the bull market, but has sadly now lost a lot of money during the bear market that we're currently in right now. But anyone that managed to purchase Cathie Wood's stock or inverse stock of her ARKK stock is now potentially making a fortune, because as the stock prices go downwards, the inverse version of the stock, you're basically betting against that stock. So as people have been losing money off of their stocks and ETFs, people that bought the inverse stock / ETF are now actually making money. So again, the most perfect example of inverse ETFs would just basically be like SARKK, SQQQ, I believe is another one. A lot of the ones that start with the letter S, or a lot of the ETFs that have an ETF version and then with the S on top of it, they're probably often the short versions of it, because S stands for short, and when you're shorting a stock, you're betting against it, and that's pretty much where it pretty much comes from. And then the last and final strategy that we're probably really going to share when it comes to how to make money during a bear market is really to consider just rebalancing your portfolio. This is really much more about a strategy how to protect your money, but I do believe it's still important to explain and really get out there in general, because during the time of a bear market, it's very, very important that every single person has to be very protective. You have to really be able to play defense. It's a little bit like, think like in basketball. If you have a very open field, you can just go all offense. But if you feel like, you're in a very difficult time where you're potentially going to be overpowered, or in this situation, being overpowered by the stock market, it's really important to be very, very defensive about it. So how this is particularly related is that it might be time that you might want to try to maybe sell out the stocks that you currently have that are very high risk, and maybe instead use it and try to buy a lot of safer stocks as well. It's also important to notice is that just because most of the market is going down, it does not necessarily mean every single stock or every single industry is also going to go down. Even during the biggest bear market, it is very, very common that you will still see very select stocks doing relatively well actually. So examples of this could be things such as like McDonald's, a lot of retail stocks. Actually depends on the retail. There are some retail stocks that aren't doing too well, but the point still stands is that there are still very particular stocks that people tend to kind of crave to during times of difficulties and economic hardship. And these are the stocks that oftentimes you can still very, very much make money from, but it just really involves a lot of research and a lot of redistribution. But really, beyond this is that that's pretty much what I really just wanted to share in today's video. So hopefully this kind of lists out 4 strategies that you can potentially use. I know 2 of them are a little bit complicated, but I do want to just kind of throw them out there anyway. And again, maybe I'll make a future video, comment if that's of interest. But I hope maybe the other 2 strategies are some strategies that you can potentially look into to make money today while the stock market is going downhill in its own bear market, assuming that you also believe it's going to go downhill even further. But of course, all of this stuff, we never know, and we have to find out in one of the future episodes of The Kevin Show. So with that being said, if you guys made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, remember to smash the like button if you guys haven't done so. Consider subscribing, hitting the bell. Feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about anything, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.